Thanks again, Lou. And welcome back to Julia Goldberg and Ahmad Assad. This case has been a mess from day one, and Alec Baldwin's legal team seems poised to exploit the many missteps from prosecutors. During a status hearing on Tuesday, Baldwin attorney Alex Spiro hinted that the defense team had some issues with the way prosecutors handled the grand jury proceedings that led to Baldwin's indictment. Ahmad, if prosecutors ignored or violated Judge Ellington's orders for that secret grand jury proceeding, as Mr. Spiro says, what does that mean for the criminal case against Baldwin?
And it depends factually, right? Because we don't know much about the basis for that motion. We don't know whether it's posturing by the defense or there's this strategy. But let's assume, for argument's sake, that there was particular direction by Judge Ellington and that the prosecutors did not follow those orders to the detriment or prejudice of the defendant in terms of the presentation of the case, and whether possibly that defendant was either affected by the shortcomings of the prosecutor. There could be a prosecutorial misconduct motion that is presented to the court for review of the orders and what, in fact, the state did. What that ultimately, if successful, would lead to a dismissal of the charges. It would, in my experience, it would be very difficult to get it dismissed with prejudice. So it may be that this scenario is dismissed without prejudice, assuming the facts are what they are as prescribed by the defense. But that doesn't mean it ends totally, because they can still go back to a grand jury and re-indict, unless there are specific findings that suggest otherwise, and this matter is dismissed with prejudice.
But this really does, what people need to look for here as this goes forward is whether it harmed the case against Baldwin, correct. Right? Whether there was some damage done to the innocence presumption, for example, right?
That's correct. I mean, it has to be more than just a not following the order. The effect of it has to be prejudicial to the target at that time, is not a defendant because it's a grand jury. So there has to be more laid out for us to fully assess kind of what parameters a relief would be, assuming that it proceeded forthwith. But we'll find out once they file that motion.
Soon enough. Okay, let's shift gears completely here. This case was custom made for the national media spotlight from the moment we learned about the shooting. That photo of a bearded Alec Baldwin on the phone has been literally everywhere for 2+ years. Now, a local photographer snapped that frame, but now that we've arrived at trial time, national reporters are going to outnumber local journalists in that courtroom every day by 31-3, and that's per court rules. Julia, how might that influence the way people nationally and locally will perceive this case based on who's covering it?
Well, I mean, we've already seen in the course, I think almost every national story I read refers to the district attorney here as sort of having bumbled the case. They talk about the problems with the Santa Fe County Sheriff. There's already kind of a dismissal of it. I was looking as opening comments happened on Court TV today, and people were analyzing the judge and saying she seemed nervous to be on national TV. I was like, you don't know that judge. I don't think she's nervous to be on national TV. So I think you'll get a little bit of just they don't know the players as well. So maybe they're more objective and also just not as knowledgeable.
Court TV, very, very well practiced in the dark arts. They know how to slow the walk down across the courtroom and do that whole thing. So let's shift gears again really quickly. Ahmad, I have watched you slug away in courtrooms full of cameras and reporters for many years. Does the strategy for defense attorneys or prosecutors change when the lights get brighter like this?
Yeah, because you're essentially speaking to two different courtrooms, if you will, that of the general public and then the jury that is before you. So you have to you have to be cognizant and bring your A game and understand that what you're doing, especially with Mr. Baldwin, like he's got a career after this trial, right? And so he's going to have to survive despite any type of outcome in the criminal case against him, for example. He's got to be able to survive out there. So there is a parallel proceeding that you got to be cognizant of when representing people that are high profile cases.
Let's unpack that just a little bit in terms of the way you present the case to the jury. Having had this conversation with you for a really long time,
Sure.
I wouldn't imagine that it's supposed to influence that bit, but can it a little bit, knowing what's going on outside the courtroom?
You can bet that it does. And every person that is questioned at the beginning of jury selection, voir dire, they're coming in with some knowledge of this fact. This was highly publicized. And the questions posed by this idea of can you set all that aside and render a verdict based on the facts you heard today and quite frankly, it's a very difficult standard for any jury to meet. There's implicit biases, stuff that we don't even know we're built with as we come into a jury. So at the end of the day, it's going to be very hard for them to divorce. So you got to take that into consideration when you're addressing the case. You got to take into account kind of what has been permeating in the media out there and package it to where it's effective for your client moving forward in the course of that trial.
Gotcha. So one other thing I want to get at here, Alec Baldwin is Alec Baldwin. He's an award-winning actor. He's a Saturday Night Live superstar, serious clout in the film industry. Julia, does his stature in Hollywood and this prosecution play into the idea that there are two systems of justice, one for folks like Baldwin and another for the rest of us?
I interviewed DA Mary Cormack Altwies right before she brought the original charges, and that was a main thing we talked about was that her not wanting that to be the case, that the important thing was getting justice for this victim, regardless of who she had to be held accountable. And I found that credible when she and I talked, and I think it's a hard thing to do because I think the state is pretty I don't want to say outgunned because that's inappropriate, but outmanned in terms of the resources they can bring. Certainly this case, I think our country's fascination with true crime and our country's fascination with celebrity kind of hits head on in this case. And Baldwin also carries a little bit of political energy around him from playing Trump, and people have very strong feelings about him. So I think that media frenzy, we're sort of seeing all of those factors at once. I was surprised they got through voir dire in a day. I thought, how are they going to get a jury that can hear this? Are these people who are they all Amish? Who are they? So we'll find out.
I remember.
Can I jump in on that, Joe?
Please, Ahmad. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I kind of agree and disagree a bit with Julia. I agree with regards to voir dire and how short it was to select a jury. I was very surprised about that as well. But I honestly believe that the status of Mr. Baldwin worked against him with regards to the prosecution in this case. I have to tell you that the idea that it was charged and then dismissed, and prior to that, there was the firearm enhancement that was added irresponsibly, and the sloppiness of the process, and the aggressive nature of continuing to come back tells me that there was a struggle to keep the prosecution going. And I believe that his status as an actor worked against him in deciding to continue to be aggressive about pursuing the prosecution in this matter.
To save face, they didn't want to drop the case. Is that what you mean?
Part of that is to save face because of the sloppiness. The other part is it may be their quest to receive some form of justice for the Hutchins family, but in doing so, there may be more aggressive efforts that would probably not have been normally attributed to an effort against somebody that may not be the actor, because the policy was everybody is the same under the law. And I remember the DA saying that it doesn't matter who you are. You are under the same.
I mean, doesn't their continued bringing the case against the 24-year-old armorer kind of belie that? I mean, she's in there too.
The problem is you can't bring it against Mr. Baldwin and not bring it against Ms. Gutierrez Reed. So if you decide to go after Baldwin, it wouldn't make any sense not charging the actual weapons specialist in the case.
Let's riff on this politically a little bit. I've got about 2 minutes to go with this segment here.
Sure.
Of course, Marco Cerna, who preceded Mary Cormack Altwies in the district attorney's office, has announced he's going to take another swing at that race in the Democratic primary in June. In his announcement that he's going to run, he popped her for the handling of this case. So briefly, I want to let you both take a rip at this one. Is it possible that message, the handling, not necessarily the outcome of the case, but the handling resonates with voters? Julia, you first.
Yes. I mean, I think she was okay up until the revelation of those emails between her and Andrea Reed that were so, not professional and really made it clear they knew they were in the public eye, that had a sort of giddiness about it. I think with that, for not that, people might have been able to accept, yes, she needs more money. Yes, she needs special prosecutors. But I think that really undermined her case a lot.
Ahmad, I know you've watched a lot of these races. Sorry to cut you off, Julia, but I got about 30 seconds. How do you think this plays politically, the handling of the cases?
I think it's going to be impactful. I agree with Julia. It's going to be impactful in the voters' decision this time around. Whether it's enough to defeat the incumbent is a different story, but it was handled poorly, and the handling in and of itself is something that was highly publicized, and it's hard to get rid of that memory and that information from the voters moving forward. And Cernas is going to ensure that that is not forgotten by the voting public.
Long way to go here in this thing. Julia
Yeah.
Goldberg and Ahmad Assad, thank you all for talking with me about this today. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure, Jeff. Thank you, Julia.